into the live. Spirit and coffee. Got my coffee here. Yum. Okay. So, how is everybody doing? I'll wait a little bit, see if people get on here. If not, I can never run out of words because I talk a lot. Got lots to say. Blah, 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 blah. That's what I do. Talk, 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 talk. I had to disconnect a little bit from my immediate world into another world or like a change of environment, which is nice. So I've changed the environment. I'm in a different location, and I'm in a different location to do my work from another environment. It's really good, I think, mentally, spiritually, physically, for people to get out of their own environment that they're in and disconnect, whether it be go to the woods, the mountains, a cabin, um, or go to visit family somewhere else, whatever it is for you to be able to disconnect and go somewhere else. Um, and it's just sort of nice for the mental health. So of course, Natalie, cannot stay still. But I do see that people are starting to get out and start to move around, and a lot of in-state travel I see happening with people posting pictures, doing these little travels to these little mountain towns and whatnot, which I feel is good because people got to get out, right? Um, and one thing that they're saying is good for the mental health. Sometimes people with mental health issues, when it comes to isolation or having to be isolated, it can make it worse. You have a lot of people that maybe commit suicide or maybe turn violent or don't know how to engage, right? So highly, highly encourage that you get out. Go for a walk in the sun. If you could take a trip to a small town that is, do it. Okay, that's all I'm saying. People are doing it already. People are starting to move around, and things are starting to open back up. It's important that we move because the body in stagnation is not good, right? When you just stay there and don't move around, your body sort of comes. Think about water, right? If water just stays there, it starts to build bacteria. And it's not healthy for, I mean, it builds a good ecosystem within that water. But water has to flow, right? That's what's important is that water's flowing. Good morning, Adan. How are you? I haven't seen you in a while. By the way, thank you, Adan, for always constantly supporting people with mental health, behavioral health, because I know right now that that's the biggest thing that's going on. It's to me, this whole thing is not a battle of, for me, I'm not saying for you guys, but for me, it's not a battle of getting sick. It's a battle of mental, right? What's going on in my mental well-being? Am I okay? Am I doing well? It's a spiritual battle, right? It's all of allowing all of the murk that was there to surface so that we can sort of deal with it, look at it, and allow ourselves to heal around it. That's what's important. How do we heal around what is happening, right? How do we allow ourselves to heal? So, just stepping into some healing practices and such. And of course, one of those things that I love to do is drink coffee. So, it's my little ritual. So, I tell people to take on the habits in the morning or the rituals in the morning that help them set their day up, right, for a win. And if people haven't found that through this and they're struggling to find out how they support themselves, good morning, Renee Molina, um, then I would say ask yourself what is going to help you to support your day as you move along the day. What's going to set the foundation and the structure for your day? How are you going to start it off so that it's on a good note? Are you going to get up, stretch? Good morning, Kwadi. Are you going to get up and make your coffee. You know, rituals are really important. They use rituals throughout life for a purpose, right? And it's really to support us into, it's either like a passage, a rite of passage, but like doing our coffee in the morning is sort of a ritual for some people, right? And so having your morning ritual can really set the foundation for your day, help you mentally, physically, spiritually. So set up your practices. What is it that you're going to do? Um, it feels really good to get away. And there's some things that I want to talk about in terms of, um, I guess humility is what it is. How do you find humility in this time, right? Because it's been it's chaotic. And again, we all have our egos, and sometimes our egos are on fire, on blast, right? But how do we humble ourselves to sort of understand what's going on? And I'm going to talk about a few things that I normally wouldn't talk about, but I've had sort of a sort of an eye-opening experience. Um, so, of course, there's a bunch of information, and different states have different rules. Different places have different things going on in them, and they're saying, okay, well, do this here, and here you don't have to do that, and here you don't. Okay, there's this big battle going on between people about what's right, wrong, good or bad. So beyond that, I said, well, how blessed we are. Okay, and just thinking about the gratitude and the humility, right? That we're sort of spoiled. And saying this because I have gone to, like I said, I've been in India. I've been to very famished. I've been to slums, and stuff like that. And I personally don't live like that. Why? Because I wasn't born into that. Will I ever truly understand what it's like to be completely in poverty? And no, I don't think I've ever. I mean, I was poor according to the US standards, but did I live in a slum? No, I've always had running water. I've always had, a place to use the restroom, I've plumbing. All these things that were given to us, right? And I just think about it ages ago, right? In the 1900s, whatever it was, when things were a lot vastly different, and we didn't have all of the luxury that we have at this point. And I thought, God, if they took away all the luxury, right? If everything was taken away, there was no Starbucks and no go to the market and get your coffee. But in order to have coffee, it was more of like this special thing because you had to go pick the beans and ground the beans and go fetch the water and get the water and put it, and all the work that went into it, that we forget that life has become so simple. Good morning, Suze. And I thought, God, here we see people fighting, even myself, there's that internal struggle or battle of fighting against what we see happening in the world, right? Because it's new. And I thought, really it's not as bad as right now. I'm not saying that we may not go through tribulations and get worse, right? But right now things are really good. They're still comfortable. We're still in the comforts of our home most, right? I'm not saying the people that are in these, conditions where it's not, because there are people in these conditions where they're living in slums and they're in poverty. Most of us, I'd imagine, that are on here, at least, really have it sort of where there's these blessings, right? That we have little things, right? Like the fact that we're in shelter, the fact that we can get up and make our coffee, the fact that we can go to the grocery store and buy our food or whatever it is, that we're taken care of. Now, there's some people that perhaps are struggling, right? And so I just thought, Natalie, be grateful, be humble, be grateful. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm not tied down. And I know for me, it's like, yes, I thank God for that, right? I thank God for providing me the life that I have. I thank God for everything. I have gratitude for everything, the little tiny things that matter. The fact that I'm able to walk, the fact that I'm able to breathe, the fact that I'm able to um, support myself, right? Some people may not have that. Will I understand that? I don't know. I don't think I will. I haven't yet. I've been independent for so long. I mean, I literally do my own thing. I've done my own thing since I was 18 and I love it. I enjoy it. I love the independence and stuff. But being so blessed, I cannot describe the amount of blessings and even for my life. Now, I don't know about your life and I'm just putting this out there, but I've had such a blessed life. I've had such an amazing life. And I do this because I want everybody to experience an amazing life. Part of that is because I have gratitude and I'm thankful for the little things that I have. And I know that because it sometimes it's not exactly like we want it, but we have shelter and we have food and we have water and we have plumbing. Like, thank God for plumbing. I don't know what I would do without that. I don't know that I could live in a world without plumbing. That's called first world problems. Really? There are still people that don't. There are still people who don't. So just really counting your blessings, being in gratitude, loving the fact that you have what you have. Really, 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 really eye opener for me. And I come back to it all the time, but always I mean, it's like we get amnesia, like I said, being able to walk and have my legs, my health, keeping up with my health. So just an eye opener. And as we continue to go through this, time of craziness or whatever, that we start to remember that, we are very privileged in a lot of ways. We have highways, we have cars, we have planes, we have all of these things, you guys, that there's a lot of blessing and beauty as well. And I'm starting to sort of feel a shift in energy and even looking at like, I had to get off social media because there's a lot of like, I don't know, it was just getting too weird. And now I'm starting to see people get back to their life, which is amazing. Getting back to that mental well-being, I think they're like it's outplayed, right? It's sort of like, okay, I'm tired of talking about this. Let's get on to something new, which is amazing. We've got to move on with our life. We've got to be able to mentally move forward and start to converse about other things that are going to support us, things that are going to help us to move forward out of this crazy vortex, which is what I feel like we're in, a vortex of crazy. It's a vortex of chaos. It's a vortex of confusion. It's a vortex of lies and manipulation. It's a vortex of um, regeneration. It's a vortex of recreation. And that we remember the beauty in it too. There's nothing wrong with chaos. There's nothing wrong with destruction. It's part of the game. It's part of what happens. It's part of the storyline. There has to be destruction in order for the beauty to arise from it. It's like the lotus, right? The lotus flower. And some guy had talked about that. He said, there's all this craziness, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes. And now we've been in this crazy dream. It's time for us to wake up, or like a little lotus pod. Remember, we're incubating, we're lotus pods in incubation. That's what I had said when this all first started, right? That we're little lotus pods in incubation, and that the chaos and the murk and all of the stuff that is beneath us, right? That is sort of happening, and then we feel like we're a part of. We're utilizing all this, and we should be utilizing all this to blossom into our beauty. The time is almost there. Our incubation is almost there because people are starting to, little lotuses are waking up all over the world. Little lotuses are starting to bloom all over the world. Little lotuses are remembering, oh yeah, I remember. I remember who I am. And that's exciting. And I hope that we can go, I hope, right, that things look vastly different in our world for sure. Less pollution. But I don't know. Who knows? But yet to see. How many of you guys have gone out and actually enjoyed nature in all this? Have actually gone outside and been with the birds and the trees and the bees and the fruit that's being harvested? How many? Have you guys? Has anybody? Somebody out there? The beauty of nature, right? It just gives us this great understanding about ourselves, right? Every day. That's so awesome, Suze, of course. That's beautiful. And what have you learned, if anything, when you were out there, Suze? I think I'm on here a little bit later because of the time that I'm in. What have you guys learned? Anybody want to? Gratitude. Amen. Gratitude's such a beautiful thing, right? I love gratitude. I'm thankful. Thankful for my life. Here's the deal. Like I said, I've had such a beautiful life. I love my life. I was telling my sister, I was like, if I died tomorrow, I would die happy. I've experienced everything that I could possibly ever want to experience. Okay, not everything. There's things that are like, but it sounds very like first world issues, right? So it's like, I'd still be happy because I was able to see, right? See beautiful places, I mean, I've gone all over the world. I've done so much. I think I've tried everything that I could possibly try. I've tried it. And I have, of course, because I believe I'll live through all this, is that there's more. And I can simply play in the more if I choose to. But the blessing that comes with being able to play in the sandbox, right, it's awesome. Sometimes there's sandboxes you don't really like. Like for instance, I've been in sandboxes and I'm like, oh no, this is not my sandbox. I think I'm gonna shift over to this sandbox and see what they got there. Like for instance, some things that I've wanted to do now, and maybe you guys can share about what it is that you guys are wanting to do now that you're sort of maybe dug a little deeper into who you are and what you might want to do. Um, I want to sort of cook. I like cooking healthy food. And I thought, maybe I could learn from a chef just some ideas. Or maybe I could just be a sous chef for a little bit, and just learn, not go to like formal school, but learn from the people who are already doing it. And, put that into my recipes and perhaps one day meal prep for people who want to eat healthy. Because that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy making healthy food. I absolutely love it. So that would be fun, right? But now I'm thinking like, what do I want to do? What's the new thing, right? What do I want to try? And I've tried on everything. You guys have tried being a carpenter. I made a toolbox. So thinking about the things that you've done, right? I know that we have all of my one person, if Adon's still on here, which I don't know if he is. He's an artist and he sculpts and he does beautiful sculptures. So what is it that you guys are wanting to do, if at all, do anything new, or if you not thought about it? So cooking is one. My sister's a great cook, so I told her she knows she has people that are friends that are chefs, and I said, do you think you can? They would let me learn with them. I would love to learn, just to learn a little, the basics. And she's like, absolutely. I'm like, cool, let's do that. That'd be awesome. I would love that. And so I would love to do that. And then, there's other things. So what is it that you guys are wanting to create after this, or start to, or what's opened up for you that you didn't really know about yourself before? Anything? No? I got crickets today. I used to be able to do cricket noises, which is fine. Be a light day, a light Monday. Good morning. I don't know if anybody's on here. That's awesome. Um, okay. Well, it's pretty quiet today, and I probably am pretty quiet today too. Um, okay, so anywho, let's see how we have rely on faith. Yeah, faith is important. I love that faith. I love that word because, man, I don't know. Just talk about that for a second. I've put so much faith, and it's weird because to me, it's like it's faith, but it's not. It's a knowing, right? It's like I don't know how to explain it. And this has always been my, I don't want to say damnation, but this is where people get upset with me because I don't know how to describe the knowing that I've always had. I've just known. No, know what? Know that there's God, right? I've always known that there's God. I've always known that God exists. There's never been a doubt. I just knew. I don't know how to explain it other than that. And did I need proof? No, because I just knew. And then it comes to like, well, there's faith in that. And I'm like, sure, perhaps, but I trust. There's complete trust too there where it's interesting. But I wonder the people, like, I don't know the people that don't have faith, what their experience with this world is, that don't truly believe. The atheist is, I mean, I don't, for me, I've always questioned, well, what does it mean? You don't believe in anything, trying to understand that particular set of people who have that way of viewing the world, because I don't understand it. I just don't. And I never will understand it. I couldn't understand it. It's not in my DNA to understand it, right? So I've had a few friends where I'm like, oh, well, what does it mean? Like, I don't, can you explain it to me? Does it mean that you just don't believe that there's anything at all? How can you not when there's a bunch of stuff that we see? Like, it doesn't have to be a creator. I think the words that we use to describe the phenomena, God is a word. It's not God. We can't really understand the whole magnitude of what that even unpacks or means, what it looks like, right? But still having faith to know that there's something greater, grander, or part of us that is, there's a bigger whole than just us. It's like there's this thing that binds us and stuff. And the faith, I think that people that have faith, and I think that I know I had read an article, and I can't remember the name of that school of thought. So I can't remember, but it is a professor had done some research on people with faith and people without, and what the conclusion he came to was that people that have faith live a more resilient life, and that ones that don't tend to have more, not negativity, what is the word, pessimistic. They become more pessimistic, and we know that people with faith are more optimistic, right? I think he came to that conclusion. And then out of that conclusion, he said people with optimism tend to have more resilience and live a sort of more fruitful life. And then the pessimistic people don't take risks. And so they may not stumble across, their life might be a little bit more soft. I don't know what the word is. Anywho, you get what I'm saying, hopefully. And so out of these two, he said that because the optimist and the resilience of a person who has faith is stronger, why is it so hard for people just to have faith? We can't prove or disprove God scientifically, right? That's not, there's no way that'll ever happen. I think they're trying to prove like our origins, right? And like where we came from and how this was all created. Um, and science could never come to causation, right? But they don't include God in the conversation, um, because, well, because they believe that science can figure everything out, and it's not true. You can't figure out everything with science. There's certain things that it just can't be explained. I mean, the further that they go into science, the more stuff they find. If you look at quantum physics, the more and more down the rabbit hole they go, the more they find. The farther out we look to the galaxy, the more we find. We find that it's expanding. So we can't really get to causation of it all. You know, we have the Big Bang Theory that's been discredited. They're like, no, not necessarily. They tried to replicate the Big Bang, right? CERN did all these things. So science can't answer it all. So that, but what he said is, we can neither prove nor disprove God exists, but we do know that people who believe and have faith in God tend to have a resilient life. They tend to have more self-efficacy. They're optimistic, and anyway, their life is a lot more fruitful. Now, he said, so why not just have faith? Either way, either choice, I mean, it does it matter or doesn't it matter? It only harms or hurts you in this realm that we know, right? Or that science can say they know. When it comes to mental space, right? When it comes to our mentality and how we engage the world. So why not just have faith? So for me, I mean, it's like, it's not, it could cost you something. It's not, it doesn't, you don't have to pay to have faith, but it could cost you something. And it could be maybe your mental well being. It can cost you certain things. So why not just have faith in something? You're hurting yourself, not others, basically. Um, so having faith, yeah. So faith is critical. I believe it's important. I just know. For me, it's like, yeah, it's important. But if you don't, that's okay too. That's, and it's your choice. But kind of look at it like, what would it mean to my life if I had faith that there was something greater than me, that I can't control every scientific measure or fact. I can't, because there's always something that balances the equation, right? It's never going to be 100% perfect from our viewpoint. We could never have 100% of the truth. It just, I could never have 100% of the truth. I have my truth. I have the way that I engage the world. But what is the truth with the capital T? Guess what? Science will try to say what that is, and they've been on a journey forever. Could they come to an absolute? No, they have not come to an absolute. Science is not absolute, and really, when you look at it, it is all theoretical. Now, there's facts in there, but it's not the truth, right? Because we had Tony Hawk or Stephen Hawkins, who was like, "Well, I want to do the theory of everything, where we include everything," and he never came to a full, complete conclusion either. He couldn't. He thought he did, and then he said, "Nope, I was wrong." Good morning, Mama. Okay, so yeah, thanks for that, Suze. There you have it. Um, I'm a little tired today, ain't gonna lie. Menstruation time. So there you go. You know me, I just give it to you all, everything. And during that time, I get a little bit drained, drains the life force out of me. Ugh, okay, but that's part of being a woman. Yay. Anywho's, okay, so I love you guys. And I promise I'll be on my A game tomorrow. Feeling a little bit. Sometimes you can tell when I'm like on my menstruation. It's like, what is she talking about? But gratitude, the biggest thing here is gratitude, humility, and yes, faith is a beautiful one. So we'll add that one on as well, Suze. I love that. And you guys are always welcome to share with me. I did bring my book with me, Quantum Integral Medicine, which I think we will continue to talk about. I think it's just important. It's a pretty cool book. Um, I love it, and I think that maybe we're getting back to the place where we can go back into the book I was reading before, um, which was the Four Agreements, and we can get back into that. We were almost done with the book before all this whirlwind of crazy happened. Then we can go into another book and another book and another book. Okay. So I love you guys. Have a fantastical day. I'm gonna do a bunch of work today because that's what I get to do. Woo woo, work, 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 work. Tell me how you work, 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 work. Okay. So I love you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.